So welcome everyone. I'm Cindy Scrookrud with the Environmental Defenders of McHenry County, and I want to welcome you this evening and tell you how glad we are to have you join us for this Zoom presentation. The Defenders have been working in the county for over 50 years to protect and preserve a healthy environment for all living things. And we believe that one way we can accomplish this is to work to become more energy efficient and to reduce the amount of carbon that we release into our atmosphere. So tonight, this presentation is about the state and federal incentives and rebates for clean energy that are available to you. This is one of a series of these events that the Defenders are hosting in the county. We have a grant from the Community Development Division of the county's Planning Department, and we're being assisted by the McHenry County chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby in getting the word out about these sessions. So the goal for this evening's meeting is to provide you with all the information about how you can save money by becoming more energy efficient. You'll learn about the many rebates and tax incentives that are available through the Federal Inflation Reduction Act and through the Illinois Climate and Equitable Jobs Act. And we're so pleased to have Marina Minic from the Citizens Utility Board with us. We've been working with Marina throughout the past fall, giving some in-person presentations, and we're really excited for her to give this webinar tonight. So we hope this information will be helpful to you. And again, thank you for coming. I'm turning off my camera and muting myself and turning it over to Marina.
Great. Thanks, Cindy. And thanks again to the Environmental Defenders for having me to speak. Again, my name is Marina Minic, and I work on the outreach team at Citizens Utility Board. I do mostly solar and building decarbonization. And just to reiterate, some housekeeping during the presentation, if everyone could stay muted, that would be best so that everyone can hear me. And sometimes keeping cameras off while people present can also help out with Wi-Fi and connectivity. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to send them in the chat, and we will get to them at the end. There should be plenty of time for Q&A. So now we can get right into the presentation. Like I said, I'm with Citizens Utility Board, otherwise known as CUB. We are a nonprofit, nonpartisan consumer protections organization. So we mainly work to protect utility ratepayers all over the state of Illinois. So if you pay a gas bill or an electric bill, even phone, cable, Wi-Fi, we have teams of people working to protect you. Some resources I have up on the screen. First is our hotline, which you can call weekdays 9 to 5 if you ever have any questions or concerns about your utilities, or if you have questions about a heat pump or how to electrify your home. We also have our website, citizensutilityboard.org, which has dozens of fact sheets and guides about energy-related topics. Almost everything I'm talking about tonight can be found in some fact sheet on our website, so you could spend a lot of time perusing there. Fun fact, hopefully in a month or two, we'll actually have a specific building decarbonization tab on our website, which will host all of these types of resources together. So that's something that we're working on. And then, like I said, I'm on the outreach team. So we travel all over the state trying to help consumers and let them know about programs that they can sign up for and ways that they can save money on their energy bills, ways that they can electrify, or if they're interested in going solar, we do presentations on that as well. And finally, another resource that I really love is our utility bill clinics. These are events that allow consumers to come in with their physical energy bills in hand and sit down with a CUB staff member, and we go through those bills with you and see if there's any way you can save money. I don't know if we have any events planned in McHenry County coming up, but we also always offer virtual utility bill clinics. So if you email ubc@citizensutilityboard.org, you can set up a virtual appointment and someone can look through your bills with you. So that's a bit about CUB, and now we can get into building decarbonization. So what is building decarbonization? It's essentially making sure that rather than heating our homes with natural gas, we are doing that with electricity. Not only heating homes, but doing anything within our homes that requires power. So again, switching from gas to electricity. In Illinois, buildings account for 18% of our emissions, and this is just going to continue to rise unless we really work on decarbonizing our buildings by switching those gas appliances to electric. So that's the first point. And the second is, while we're switching our appliances from gas to electric, we're also working to clean up our electric grid, right? If our electric grid is powered by mainly coal, we're not really doing much by switching over to electricity. So we want to make sure that we're putting renewables onto our grid as well. So that's the main gist of building decarbonization. So why is it important? There are three main reasons: affordability, climate, and health. So we can start with affordability. First of all, gas prices are more volatile than electric prices. Fossil fuels are or natural gas has a very vulnerable market because it is easily affected by global events such as foreign affairs or wars, weather, and even things like the pandemic really affected natural gas prices. And it's really expensive for consumers as well. For us as natural gas customers, we have to pay to maintain the aging and polluting distribution systems, or those pipeline systems, right? This is very unnecessary, especially because we have efficient electric alternatives. CUB also did a research project and found that households that cut the pipe, aka switching from gas to all electric, are able to enjoy lifetime savings ranging from around $24,000 to $47,000. So huge savings if you are able to completely electrify. So that's affordability. Next, we have climate. As most of us probably know, gas is a non-renewable source of energy. It consists predominantly of methane, which is a very potent greenhouse gas. It actually has 80 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. So when we're drilling and extracting fossil gas wells, and we're transporting that gas in pipelines, we're experiencing a lot of methane leaks, which, result in greenhouse gas emissions, which really help in accelerating climate change. So by switching from natural gas to electric and hopefully renewable sources, we are able to greatly reduce the amount of emissions. And installing efficient electric alternatives to gas appliances saves emissions over the appliance's lifetime. And that is because a lot of these new electric appliances are much more efficient and use a lot less energy than their natural gas counterparts. So that's climate. And then finally, health. Again, when we burn natural gas in order to heat our homes or to cook, we are emitting all kinds of things into the air, greenhouse gases, of course, but also nitrogen oxides, particulate matter emissions, formaldehyde, and more. These are all really horrible for our health and for our outdoor air quality. So this next slide here. The EPA has stated that we spend around 90% of our lives indoors, which is a little sad to think about, but is true. And they have also found that indoor pollutant levels can sometimes be 2 to 5, or can be 2 to 5, and sometimes as much as 100 times higher indoors than outdoors. And that's because we are burning fossil fuels right within our homes in order to heat our homes and cook. The International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health also found that 21% of childhood asthma cases in Illinois are attributable to gas stove use, and that children looking or living in a home with gas cooking have a 42% increased risk of asthma. A lot of these stories came out in the news around the time that the Inflation Reduction Act came out. And I think a lot of people have started to pay attention to the health effects of burning natural gas within our homes. All right, so if that convinced you to want to decarbonize, where do we start? So on the screen are the steps that we can take. After this slide, I'll go through those steps one by one. But to summarize, we usually want to start with a home energy assessment or audit so that we can see where our homes are at and what improvements need to be made. Next is energy efficiency. It's really important to make sure that your home is efficient and well insulated and weatherized before continuing on. Step 3 and step 4 are a little interchangeable, but it's to electrify and to go solar. So electrifying, again, is switching those gas appliances and gas heating to electric, and renewable energy is potentially going solar. And then finally, getting engaged. So once you have done all of these things, it's really important to talk about it as much as possible and give people advice and lend your expertise so that others can do the same as you. All right, so as I mentioned, the first place you want to start is that home energy assessment or audit. So a home energy assessment is kind of the simpler version, and a home energy audit is a bit more thorough and looks at things like insulation a bit more. ComEd actually offers a free home energy assessment to its customers. And when you sign up, someone will do a simple energy assessment. They will look for areas in your home in which you can improve upon and places that you can save energy. And then you also get some freebies like programmable thermostat, LED light bulbs, WaterSense certified shower heads and faucet aerators, and up to 6 feet of hot water pipe insulation. They have slightly changed this program, so you must now be at or below 80% area median income to receive the in-person assessment. And if you are above that, you can receive a virtual assessment, and they would send you those freebies in the mail. So on ComEd's website, under ways to save, they do include the income chart so that you can see where you fall. Or if you give them a call, they should be able to help determine that income as well. This happened about a week ago, this change. Oops. Let's see. And then next is the audit. So again, this is going to be a more in-depth look at where your house is in terms of efficiency and insulation. So this is a nice website that I will send out in a follow-up email that helps to find an auditor. Audits typically can run you somewhere between $200 and $500. But I do have a yellow star right next to it, and that is because there is an incentive for this service, which I will talk about later. So it could be a good investment. Next is energy efficiency. Many experts say that every dollar you put into energy efficiency, you will get $3 back in energy bill savings. So what can you do right now? Making sure your home is properly weatherized is very important. So checking your windows and doors and working on insulation if you need to do so. Energy efficient lighting can also make a huge difference. So LED lighting. And behaviors are also important. So making sure that you are unplugging things that you are not using can help to save a lot of energy, and utilizing your programmable thermostat. So you can program it to maybe turn the heat down a bit during night when you're already asleep, and then it can be programmed to turn back up again so you can wake up warm. That can help to save energy as well. And next is electrification. So we'll spend quite a bit of time on this piece. So like I said, the easiest way to electrify is from switching gas appliances and HVAC to electric. And the most common uses of natural gas in buildings are for space and water heating, clothes drying, and cooking. So on the screen, I have the 4 main ways that you can electrify. First is switching from gas heating, like a furnace or a boiler, to a heat pump. Heat pumps are able to heat and cool homes. And I will talk about how heat pumps work in a bit more depth later on. Next, you can switch from a gas water heater to a heat pump water heater. You can switch from a gas stove to an induction stove. And finally, you can go from a gas clothes dryer to an electric or a heat pump clothes dryer. And the best time to make these upgrades is when your current appliance is in need of replacing. So if you have any aging appliances, you may want to start thinking about replacing it with one of these upgrades. And these all have yellow stars next to them, which means there are incentives for all of these appliances. So on the next slide, I'm going to explain how a heat pump works, and then I'll talk about these other appliances later on. All right, so a heat pump is an electric appliance that can replace both your traditional air conditioner and your home heating system, again, like a furnace or a boiler. So heat pumps use electricity to move heat from one place to another rather than creating it. And that's what makes heat pumps much more energy efficient. In cooling mode, heat pumps are kind of like air conditioners. They move the heat from inside your home to the outside. And in heating mode, heat pumps go in reverse. So they take the heat from the outside air and put it inside to warm your home. And how does that work? That is because heat is energy. So there's always energy in the air, even when it is very cold outside, right? We never have air without any energy in it. So there's always something that those heat pumps can pull. Heat pumps are 2 to 3 times more energy efficient than traditional heating systems, such as fossil fuel furnaces and boilers or inefficient resistance baseboards. No matter where you live, heat pumps are able to heat and cool your home. And there are cold weather heat pumps that are specifically made to work in cold climates, like here in Illinois, so that they can continue to be efficient down to pretty low temperatures. At some point, a furnace usually would be more efficient than maybe a cold weather heat pump, and that's when you're looking at maybe below 0 ambient temperature. All right, so I've been talking a lot about appliances and upgrading, and I know it sounds pretty expensive. So how do we pay for this? Next part of this presentation is going to be talking about incentives. So essentially, there are 3 buckets of incentives. The first is Inflation Reduction Act. And within the Inflation Reduction Act, there are tax credits and there are rebates. So a tax credit is an incentive which helps to reduce what you owe on your federal income taxes, versus a rebate is just money back. So that's the difference between a tax credit and a rebate. Next, we have ComEd. They have some rebates as well. And then finally, Illinois does have some incentives, but mostly just for solar, so not for appliances. So now we can step through these one by one. So we'll start with tax credits. So there are 2 main tax credits that we'll talk about tonight that are offered through the Inflation Reduction Act. So first is the Home Energy Efficiency and Weatherization tax credits. So you can receive up to $1,200 back annually when you do things like conduct a home energy audit, install efficient windows and doors, and install an electric heat pump. So you can see here, essentially how it works is you can claim the credit for 30% of the cost of the project, and then the annual cap is at $1,200. These credits do not roll over, so if you know you're not going to owe more than $1,200 in a year, you may want to do this strategically so that you're only receiving as much as you owe each year on your federal income taxes. But yeah, we get quite a bit of money, and $2,000 toward a space or water heater upgrade that can go toward an electric heat pump, geothermal, or a heat pump water heater. So that's a really significant credit. And that $2,000 is a one-time tax credit that is in addition to that $1,200 annual cap. So that is the Home Energy Efficiency and Weatherization tax credit. And to claim that, you would file Form 5695. Again, I'll send these slides out, so don't worry too much about memorizing or taking notes. Next, we have the clean energy tax credits. So if you install solar panels or geothermal, you can get 30% of that project cost back in your tax credits. It would reduce what you owe on the federal income taxes. These credits do roll over. So say this credit is worth more than what you owe in a year, the excess unused credit can be rolled over to the next year. And this is also file form 5695, just a different section. So this is for solar. And now we can get to the electrification rebates. The tax credits for the home weatherization and for the clean energy, those are available now. So if you go solar this year, geothermal, if you replace some doors and windows, you can use that tax credit this year. The electrification rebates are not ready yet, but we expect for them to come out starting this summer. I know Cub will definitely be sending emails out when this program finally is ready. So if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can. I'm almost positive the McHenry Environmental Defenders will also probably be doing some outreach when these credits are fine, or when this rebate program is finally ready. But it's good to talk about for now. So once this rebate program is ready, households will be able to experience point of sale electrification rebates as immediate off the top discounts when making qualifying electrification purchases. So as you can see, there is money for electric stove, for insulation, heat pump water heater, electric wiring, upgrading your electric panels, and air source heat pumps. There are income limitations for the electrification rebates. So for consumers with an income of 80% AMI, area median income, or less, they are able to cover the full price of their electric appliances up to a total $14,000 cap. So for a household of 4 in the Chicagoland area, that is around $88,000. And then consumers with an income of 80 to 150% area median income can cover half of the cost of their appliance up to that $14,000 cap. And in the Chicagoland area for a household of 4, that is around $89,000 to $175,000 income. The tricky part about the rebate program is essentially how it works is the federal government is going to distribute funds to states, and states then need to create program rules for this money, and they have not released those yet, so we don't know all of the nitty-gritty details of this program, but we do know that these are going to be the general income levels. At the end, I will show a resources page, and I will also send this out via email, but Rewiring America is a website, and they have an IRA savings calculator where they can determine which incentives you are eligible for. So that is the resource that I recommend if looking at if you want to see if you're eligible. But again, these numbers are also pretty good. And then ComEd also has electrification rebates and discounts. So if you go to comed.com/ways to save, you can take a look at what those rebates are. They also have them for electric appliances, $1,400 for an air source heat pump and up to $1,000 for a mini split air source heat pump. Also some money for tune-ups if you do have an air source heat pump, ductwork sealing, and up to $9,000 for a geothermal system. One other cool thing is if you go to the Energy Star appliance or the Energy Star website to look at appliances, they will actually let you know if you have rebates based on your zip code. So on the screen, the image To the right, you can see that I put in my zip code and it said, oh, $40 rebate for a clothes dryer from ComEd. So that is pretty cool as well. And the next 3 slides are going to be examples of these different appliances that you can electrify with. So I'll talk about the technology itself, and then I will go into the example. So we already covered air source heat pumps, and now we're going to do the clothes dryer, the water heater, and the induction stove. So first we have the heat pump clothes dryer on the screen. So how does this work and how is it different from a conventional dryer? A heat pump dryer works as a closed loop system by heating the air, using it to remove moisture from the clothes and then reusing it once the moisture is removed. So rather than releasing warm, humid air through a dryer vent to the exterior of a home, like a conventional dryer does, a heat pump dryer sends it through an evaporator to remove the moisture without losing too much heat. Because of that, heat pump clothes dryers do not require vents, but they do require a drain. But because they are, again, moving heat around, they are much more energy efficient, at least 28% compared to standard dryers. They also dry at lower temperatures, so they are gentler on clothing. So now we can look at this example here. I use the Energy Star website to find appliances, kind of just to find a median price. So from this one I chose, the dryer starts at $1,250. Or sorry, $1,100, and then I added $150 for the install price, leaving us at $1,250. So I created 2 buckets for these examples, the less than 80% AMI bucket and the 80 to 150% AMI bucket. Again, that is because if you are below 80% AMI, you are able to cover the full project cost up to the cap, versus if you are from the 80 to 150, you are able to cover half of your project cost up to that cap. So for heat pump clothes dryers, the rebate cap is $840. So the less than 80% AMI person will get that full amount, versus 80 to 150 only covers half their project, so they will get $625. And then there's a $200 ComEd rebate. So that is applied at the end. You owe either $210 or $425, which is a pretty good deal. Next, we have the heat pump water heater. So heat pump water heaters are similar to heat pumps for space heating, except they produce hot water instead of hot air. And they typically act as a dehumidifier, cooling the space around them. Again, that's because they're pulling heat energy from around them in order to use that energy to heat the water. And heat pump water heaters are 2 to 3 times more efficient than traditional systems and work in all climates. So again, I use the Energy Star website to find a heat pump. This one is 66 gallons and it lands around $2,300. And again, I'm just picking random appliances, so you can be more of a bargain shopper than I was when I was choosing these. But I want it to be fair. So we have $2,300 with a $1,500 installation price. So that gives us a starting point of $3,800. Next, electrification rebate, that's $1,750 is the cap, which the total starting cost is more than twice that, which is why our less than 80% and our 80 to 150% are getting that same amount. And then the energy efficiency tax credit. So 30% off that total cost comes to $1,140. So we can subtract that as well. And we end up with a cost of $910 for both buckets there. That's a little more than you would maybe spend on a regular heat pump, but again, these are 2 to 3 times more efficient, so you're going to see energy savings as well. And finally, we have an induction stove. So induction stoves are faster, safer, and typically a lot better than gas or traditional electric stoves. Induction stoves are also more efficient than gas or traditional electric stoves. And of course, you are no longer burning fossil fuels in your home. So they lead to better indoor air quality and reduce and eliminate those health risks that natural gas stoves pose. One thing I always like to mention is induction stoves do require compatible pots and pans because these stoves are using magnetic technology. So if a normal magnet will stick to your pot or pan, it is compatible with an induction stove. Induction stoves can sometimes have a higher upfront cost, but can become more affordable with incentives and keeping an eye out for sales. Oops. So in this image, again, I just found a random induction stove. It was on sale for around $900, but I figured I would be fair and use that original price of $1,600. But you can imagine that, if you are looking to do an induction stove, you can definitely keep an eye out for some sales like this one. But we'll do a $1,600 start price with a $300 installation, which leads us to $1,900 at the front. We get our electric rebate, which takes $840 off, and our ComEd rebate, which takes $100 off. So we're left paying $960 for our stove, which again is definitely higher upfront cost than some traditional gas stoves, but you can always look out for sales. And once again, you are no longer emitting harmful chemicals into your home. So if that's worth it, I would definitely take those steps to look into an induction stove. So those are the examples, and I have one more slide for you, which is Illinois Solar for All. Illinois Solar for All is a state program that brings benefits of solar energy to income-eligible households. There's also a category for nonprofits and public facilities. So essentially, if you were to go solar through this program, there would be no upfront costs and guaranteed monthly savings. This also has an income level of 80% area median income, which varies by household size and region. So if you think you qualify for that and are interested in solar, I would definitely recommend looking into the website, illinoissolarforall.com, to learn more. Once I'm done talking, I will also be sending, or I'll do this in the follow-up email. I'll be sending an interest form. So if you are interested in this, you can fill out a form and someone will reach out to you about the program. And then finally, some of the resources that I really enjoy. I mentioned Rewiring America. They have an IRA savings calculator where you can actually put in your household size and income, and they will populate what you are eligible for. Energy Star is great if you are looking into appliances. Department of Energy has some great resources. And then CUB has a Better Heat Guide, which is a guide that is completely focused on electrifying your home. And we have an Inflation Reduction Act guide that goes into more depth about those incentives that I spoke about. And again, I will include all of this in the follow-up email. And that is all I have to present on. So on the screen, I just have my email and CUB's hotline and our website. So definitely take advantage of those resources. And I will leave this slide up on the screen for a moment, but then I will eventually take it down and we can talk about, or we can go through the questions and answers.
Great, thanks, Marina. This is always, you have such great information. So a lot to digest, but you've given us good things to dig into. Can you see the chat? Do you want me to read the questions, or do you want to? Can you see it? Or
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can go through them. And maybe I will stop sharing. And if people want to turn their cameras back on, go ahead. All right, so Kathy asked, what about tankless water heaters? I will be honest, I'm not a water heater expert, so I don't think I have too much to say about that. But if you would like, I can maybe find something out there, include it in the follow-up email about heat pump water heaters versus tankless, or see if there's anyone at Cub who has any other opinions on that.
And the tankless have become much more affordable. At one time, it was like thousands of dollars, but now for like 5 or 6, really the price of a water heater, you can get a tankless water heater. So we're pursuing that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you, Kathy. Next, can you please explain how does the electrification rebate work? Do you need to apply for them? Do you need to send any documents? So as of now, what I have heard is they are going to attempt to make the electrification rebates at the register rebate. So it would be applied when you purchase the appliance. And because the guidance for this program is not quite released from the state yet, I really don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know if there's going to be approved distributors like, Home Depots that need to have some way to verify income, or not quite sure how it's going to work, but that's how they would like for it to happen, is applied at the register. Are there any rebates or incentives right now for new electric panel installation? There are. I'm just going to go back through my slides to see which one it's under. Let's see. The electrification rebate includes up to $4,000 for upgrading electric panels. So that would go toward new electric panel installation. Again, that is going to be the income-based one. So you would have to be somewhere at or under 150% area median income to benefit from that incentive. Keep going. Irene asks, what are compatible cooking pots and pans? So again, for the induction stove, it's not like your typical electric coil stove. It's actually using magnetic technology to heat up and cool down. And because of that, your pots and pans you're using need to be compatible as well. So essentially a way to test it out is if you stick a magnet to your pan, if it sticks, then you know that that pot or pan is compatible. I know cast irons are good. Let me see if I have any notes. Yeah, so I'm sure a quick Google would answer that too, but that's a good way to test it, is with take a magnet from your fridge and see if it sticks to your pots and pans. And then, is the size of the household what is claimed on the income tax? So for the tax credits, for either home weatherization or energy efficiency, or the clean energy tax credit, that credit reduces what you owe on your federal income taxes. So household size isn't a factor in that incentive. But for the electrification rebates, the ones that aren't going to be ready until this summer, those that's just money. It doesn't have anything to do with your tax liability. It's money applied at the register, but that does have to do with your income level. And the income levels are based off of household size and the region that you live in, because it's based off of area median income. And again, I like the Rewiring America resource for that. And I have a feeling once Illinois releases the program and releases the guidance, they will probably have their own more specific income eligibility chart as well, because I know those are always a little bit different depending on what website you're looking at. So what I provided, and even the Rewiring America website that I keep bringing up. Those can give you an idea, but I don't think we'll know 100% for certain until the program comes out. And in the chat, I just sent the Rewiring America resource, since I've mentioned it at least 10 times now, so people can see what I'm talking about. And then continuing to look through the questions, Cynthia asks, are solar shingles available in Illinois? Not really. Tesla has developed the solar shingles, and in order to install them, you need to be an approved installer of the product. And I don't believe that there are solar companies in Illinois who have done that yet. The reason being is they're still quite expensive. So I think once those drop in price and some of the bugs are worked out, then we might start to see them a bit more.
It does seem as though it's a good idea to wait until the state of Illinois has decided what their rebates and things are. We've been going around and around with our contractors, and fortunately, both of our furnaces are still working, and we were pretty nervous during this cold spell, but it kind of seems like no rush. You might as well wait until Illinois decides what their policy is going to be.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, Kathy, as I know this has kind of been happening with you, it's kind of a long process to figure out what you need to do for your home. So I would say right now, if you're just starting to look into electrification, go out and get that energy audit or the home energy assessment, see where your home is at, try to start making some of those energy efficiency upgrades, or seeing if your home needs to be weatherized or re-insulated. And you can kind of start to make progress, but I agree, you would definitely want to wait for the rebates.
Well, we have done that. We're very well insulated, and now I am, especially during these cold days, I'm down in the basement insulating more copper pipes. Wherever I can find copper water pipes, I'm putting insulation on them. And that partly came because of the tankless water heater. If the water going into the tankless water heater is the warmer it is, the more efficient the tankless water heater is. So yeah, I'm putting insulation around our water pipes wherever I can.
That's great. And then Irene, thank you for clarifying what you meant with your question. Definitely include your child in the household size. They don't need to be claimed on your income taxes. It's just how many people live in your household. And yes, the tax credits are federal. So anyone in the United States is eligible for those, and the electrification rebates will be handled state by state. So yes, anyone within the state of Illinois will depending on income, can take advantage of those electrification rebates. Then one more question. So should you try to spread out your improvements in order to take advantage of those tax credits and rebates? I would say, let me share my screen again. That's a good question. So let's go back a few slides. So here is the home energy efficiency and weatherization tax credits. So these credits have a $1,200 annual cap. So yeah, I mean, I always say, you get $600 for efficient windows. So I wouldn't recommend installing 2 windows every year or whatever it is. That doesn't really make sense. But in any way you can kind of try to spread these out a bit in order to take full advantage of the incentives. And then that $2,000 toward a space or a heat pump or geothermal, that is a one-time credit, so you can only use that once.
And Marina, I think I remember you saying before that this program's gonna last for like a decade. So how many years are these tax credits in place?
Yeah, so pretty sure this one should be a decade. I'm 100% sure that the clean energy tax credits are set for 10 years.
Okay.
But for the clean energy tax credits, you can use that as many times as you want. There's no limitations on that and no yearly cap. It's just you get 30% of your total project cost back to you. I would assume this is also going to be available for 10 years, but I'm not 100% sure. And then the rebates. I want to say the rebates are also, honestly, I guess I don't know because we don't have the guidance out yet.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how that works. But I know on one single project you have that cap. So if you're getting an air source heat pump, you can get up to $8,000 on that project, right? So you can't get, if the project takes 2 years to complete, which it wouldn't, it's not like you can get $8,000 each year or something like that. It's one rebate per project.
I think
Hopefully that
those are
makes
all,
sense.
yeah, those are all the questions in the chat, but if people want to come off mute and ask more questions, we've got a few more minutes that we can hang together. Thanks, Marina, for all this information, and you know, Marina's going to follow up by sending you out materials, and we'll get the video out to you again. It's, you know, I know a number of us have been on multiple times, and it's a lot to absorb. Looks like Irene's got some more questions. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so is there a chart to help determine where you fall in relation to annual median income? I'll include this in the follow-up email. There's a few places that you can look to determine area median income, but again, all the numbers are a little different. So I'm not 100% sure what the state is going to end up using. I guess I can pull this up quick. I know the state also has that income eligible solar program that you have to be at 80% area median income. The state uses those numbers and there is a chart, but again, it is only for the 80 and not the 150%. So I'll include that. But again, I like the Electrifying America one. There's no chart, but it does tell you what you will qualify for.
Now, Marina, who applies for these? You mentioned a form 5695. Is that something I would get from my accountant or something? Or from the contractor?
That's something you would have to do on your own or with your accountant. I believe now even online, like TurboTax companies like that actually have that form to fill out as well. But yeah, definitely speak to your accountant if you have one,
Well,
so
and
that they can help out.
yeah, and definitely go to the Rewiring America calculator link that Marina put in the chat, because you can, I'm looking at it on my screen now, you know, you put in whether you're a homeowner or a renter, what your tax filing is, what your household size is, what your income is. That'll at least get you started on figuring things out.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to go for the income levels. And yeah, I am excited for this summer because I've done quite a few presentations on the electrification rebates, and it every time is just very mysterious to talk about since we don't have all of the rules yet.
May I ask a question? I noticed that wind turbines are on there. I have been told that the shape of my house, where it is and whatever, solar panels would not, and living where I, in this weather, that I would not be, I wouldn't be able, they wouldn't be a benefit. But I wondered about wind turbines because I'm on a lake. But I don't see anybody with windmills around. What's the deal with that? Do you know?
I really do not know too much about wind turbines. I know you can get smaller ones, but I agree. Just the image of one in a backyard is a little funny to me, but I think it might be worth looking into. I know if you do have yard space, you could also consider a ground-mounted system for solar. If you have unshaded yard space that you'd be willing to give up for some panels. But that is a good question, and I don't know too many people talking about wind turbines, but maybe we should start thinking about them more.
We do have, I see a number of places where I live in McHenry County, northeastern McHenry County, a number of kind of, larger lot residential spaces that do have wind turbines. So people do have them.
This part of the state, it's been determined though, I served on a wind energy task force for the county several years ago, and it has been determined that the wind conditions in our part of the state are not ideal for big wind farms, so we'll never have those. So, but yeah, looking into the smaller ones that can be put on a rooftop or mounted in your backyard is something you could do. But Irene, it seems to me that it would be a better situation for you to take part in one of the community solar farms in the county. And those you can, oh gosh, sometimes you get information in the mail about signing up for one of those. Also, I know Cindy, you are signed up for one of the community solar farms. How did you learn about which one to go to?
I think I learned via Cub, and Marina can probably answer this because my recollection is that Cub has a resource that tells you which solar farms are open for people to subscribe at any time.
Yeah, I just sent our resource in the chat. So again, Irene, if you're interested in participating in solar energy, but can't really figure out how to do it on your property, you can subscribe to a solar garden or solar farm and kind of receive energy that way. So this resource we have more information about what community solar is, and then there's some blue tabs on the left side of the screen. One of them is current community solar deals, and if you click on that, you see all the companies in Illinois. We have a blog post about all of them, and we have a comparison chart that lists them side by side, which makes it a lot easier to figure out maybe which company you would want to go with.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, I want to, thank all of you for joining us. Thanks to Marina always for a great presentation. I know we've been in a little bit, holding this webinar, and we've been holding in-person meetings just because we're really excited about these opportunities for folks. And because they're pretty complicated, I feel like it doesn't hurt to be learning about it now when we're going to get more details this summer, because it helps to kind of for you to understand what's coming. And we just feel like the defenders felt like this was really important, that these incentives are available to people, and we wanted to get the word out to as many people in McHenry County as we could. So we will make sure that you get this copy of this recording, and then Marina's planning on sending out a bunch of resources from Cub to you. And we really appreciate this partnership with Cub because they're the ones that are staying on top of all of this, and that's the way we can provide you the most up-to-date information. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks again, Marina.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Marina.
thanks, Cindy. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night and stay warm.
Yeah.